So I'm walking in Monterey, California, and this is the Asilmar State Park. It's actually really quite stunning here. And I was thinking about, the number of times that I've felt lost, or I've felt like I can't actually do this whole academic game. And the number of times that you wake up and you're like, oh, I just can't. But I want to remember that is actually what we do in the academic game, in academia, is we get up and we feel like we can't do something. It's very much like anything else that's challenging. You don't want to do the work. It's not a fun job. It's lonely. It's a challenge. It's such a challenge. And people are going to tell you that you're not good enough every day. And you're going to feel like that in your head, that you're not good enough. There's so much behind what we do where you feel like you can't get there. But the thing is, you have to remember that you can. And I know that it seems absolutely asinine to say these kind of things, and it's crazy to say these out loud. For a lot of people, they think that they can't do it, but that's the process that we actually do. And that's why it's incredibly so seductive. The whole academic game is incredibly seductive because you're almost there all the time. But that's kind of the point. You're almost always on the cusp of discovery, of thinking about something, of doing the work in such a way that people will recognize what you've done. And frankly, that's what we do. That's the whole point. You can imagine that your field, your academic field, whatever you're in, or even if it's not an academic field, right? Like your industry that you're in, it's a bunch of smart people. It always is. It's really smart. And they're all vying for the top position. And if that's the case, nobody cares about anybody else. They all pursue their own self-interest for themselves. And it's true. That's what people do. They pursue their own self-interest for themselves, and they don't care about you. So I think we need to sidestep the question of thinking about, am I good enough? Can I show to somebody else? Can I prove to somebody else that I'll ever get there? And just start thinking about doing something just for the sheer joy of it, and pursuing that particular thing for the sheer joy of it. I want everybody to think about just the idea and slowing it down and thinking, why the heck am I doing this in the first place? Is it because of the status? Is it because that I wanted to make more money? Is it because of all this kind of stuff? Or is it because I wanted to look at something? I was curious. I was 5 years old at one point, and I was looking at all of the different sea creatures, and I wanted to discover what was going on, or I wanted to figure out how something actually worked, or can I actually do this thing? And I think if we sort of take a step back and think about what are we trying to do here? What's the objective? Is it actually trying to gain some higher status, that everybody recognizes you and you think that you're somehow better and all of that kind of nonsense? Or is it just looking around and being curious and looking at just the world around you and forgetting about that nonsense of everything and getting up and pursuing just discovery and thinking about things? And if you sort of pursue that, and if you change the objective and you think about the world differently, as like not a zero-sum game where you're competing against everybody else for limited resources, which is true. It is. But if you view it in a different way and you say, nuts to this game, I just want to discover some interesting things. I want to look at all the different sea creatures. I want to look at, the world around me. I want to discover how people actually think and work. And if I change the game and I pursue things, I look at things, I could just be interested. And I don't have to worry about all of this other nonsense. I want you to remember that if you change the game and you're just curious and you run away from all of that competitive nonsense, you just look at things and go back to when you were 5 years old, where you're just looking at all of these really cool sea creatures down here, just like this. And you start pursuing it and looking at it and just looking at the water, you forget about everything else. And you see the little crabs that are crawling around. I don't think you could see them. They're right there. And there's a little hermit crab. If you're focused on the competitive game, you're never going to see that stuff. Just go do good stuff. Just do good work. And then the rest of it, it's all a silly game that doesn't matter in the long run anyways. Good luck.